John Newton was not only the author of Amazing Grace, but before he became a Christian, he was also a slave trader. He had firsthand knowledge of chattel slavery, the buying and selling of human bodies, of that terrible, terrible practice. And he was a sailor, and that's how he got into that business. And there was a story about John Newton, how this is the story of his conversion was simple. He had been stranded on an island for about 2 weeks, and his ship had come in and rescued him, and he got on the ship, but the ship itself was only created for warm waters. And they got blown way off course because of a massive storm, and they began to take on water. And the boat, the storm was so bad that people would just hide under the decks to try to survive. And they'd have to bail all this water out. And John Newton tells a story, and he says that he found the pump for the ship to pump the water out, and it says that he pumped water from 3 a.m. until midday. That's how long he pumped water. And that whenever he was done with his part of pumping the water, he laid down while they were still in the storm and didn't know if he would ever get up. That he laid down as though he was one who was going to die. And they said, John, we need your help. We need you to get on deck. And he goes, I don't want to get on deck. Guys that had gotten on deck, they literally watched them get on deck and then get washed away into the ocean, never to be seen again. So they had to strap him to the wheel so that he'd actually steer the ship through the storm. And he talks about how as he was steering the ship and the storm was raging, that every second wave that crashed against the ship would fall down and just completely drench him with water, every second wave. And then every now and again, whenever the nose of the ship would go down into the water, he'd wonder, maybe this is it. Maybe we're not going to make it. And strapped to that wheel on the edge of death, he thought of his mother. See, John Newton's mother was a godly woman. She taught him the hymns of Isaac Watts. She taught him the Bible. And she taught him how to pray. And he remembered the stories that his mother had told him, but his mother had died tragically when he was only 7 years old. And a root of bitterness had grown up in the soil of John Newton's heart, so that he was not only not a Christian, he was an anti-Christian. And he would intentionally go out of his way to find Christians and to try to destroy and wither their faith. And this story is remarkable. Because in this moment, this hardened person in this hardened heart, he said, as he held on to that ship, for the first time in many years, he says, I prayed. Not as a son prays to the Father. I prayed as the ravens prayed. Lord, have mercy on me. As soon as he said it, a thought came back into his head. But what mercy can there be for me? He later reflected on this experience, that what the text says encouraged him in that moment, that the Lord hears even the cries of the raven.